This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and in today's video, we're going to do some minor modifications, or additions as I like to call it, to the Oklahoma Joe Tahoma 900. Because this smoker is such a nice smoker and performs so well, I didn't want to make any major changes to it. So just a few little additions to improve just a little bit and make things work just a little easier. So I have a video here, and this video contains 4 modifications that I thought would really go a long ways in helping with this smoker and would not damage or ruin the performance at all. So there were some things that I did that didn't work out, but that's okay. I'll just keep trying other things and maybe I'll get there. And if I do, I'll share those with you. So now let's go ahead and get into the main part of the video, and you can check out those modifications or additions that I performed. My first modification is going to be I'm moving this handle. Now for today only, I'm just going to release the handle and then move it up. And then at a later time, I will decide if I need to drill in the other 2 holes and reattach the top. Let's go ahead and remove the handle. So it looks like I can just take this and put it right on there. Now I want to point out to you that we've got 4 holes here, but I'm only going to do 2 of them right this minute. Then we'll come back to that, and if I need the other 2, I will probably put in self-tapping screws. So make sure that you go really slow when you're putting these in, because the last thing you want to do is cross-thread them and strip them. Now, of course, because of the floating nature of the handle, this won't be as firm as it should be. But again, if I like this change, I'll just come along and I'll put in 2 screws there. Don't forget that you want to add the bottom screws back in to plug the holes. And you don't need to torque those down, you just need them firm so that way they won't come out. There we go. No problem. So the next modification that I want to talk about is something really super simple. And that's adding a smokestack to the standard chimney. Now, with most offset smokers, I almost always do this, and I just like the way that it improves the airflow from the smoke chamber. But something else to be said, the reason I do this here is because I like to keep the smoke out of the filming area as much as possible. So when the camera is off, I always add these onto different smokers. Now, I have a shorter one that I use for my Masterbuilt electric smoker because I usually keep it up here. So that way it gets closer to the top. But this keeps the smoke from filling the area. We're not going to attach this, but you certainly could, and I'll point to it right here, but there's 3 holes in this flange, and this is a duct collar, and I'll try to find the link for that in the description. I think I purchased this from AC Infinity, and then this is just a standard 4-inch stovepipe, 24 inches long, and you can use a silver one that you can find at any store, but you can also buy that right online. So you'll have to put it together and then set it on there. Next, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to remove the cover. Set this aside. I'll put it on there just like that. And again, if you want, you can put in 2 screws right here and that'll hold it in place. The third one, it really won't work very well, but if you want to bend the flange, you can do that and it probably will work. But I want to use this flange on the electric smoker or whatever other smoker I want to, so I'm not going to make it a permanent addition. But this will work great to get the smoke up near the top here. And I don't want it too close to the top because it might melt the canvas. But for you, if you don't have a canvas or you have something that is heat resistant, you can go up higher or even pipe it outside of a small open air shed or whatever you smoke in. The next one is where we start to get into something a little more serious. Now, of course, this has a digital built-in thermometer, but I really want additional thermometers for this. And most people would either pop one right here or put them in right there. But I'm begging you not to do that. What you should do is put it somewhere where it doesn't move, but you'll still get the readings that you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in the back. Now, the primary reason that I'm doing this is because you have to have clearance all the way around the smoker anyway. And I want this sensor to come out just below that shelf right there. So that way I can get a really good idea of exactly where I am. Now, I recommend that you use a tape measure or some other way to gauge where that is. But I'm going for about 5 inches in from each side right here. And then from the base, so I'll use this as a measuring point. I'm looking for 4.5 inches above the grate level. And since the grate and the top surface of the box are all on the same height plane, we'll be able to measure that and get where we want to be. Now, I'd like to show you the process of doing this, but I can't really move the smoker because it's sitting on gravel, and then I have the sheet metal down here to support the wheels so they don't dig in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that, and I'll snap a couple pictures of it and then I'll show them to you when I get back. So I completed drilling the holes, and just so you could see really well, I went ahead and removed that upper shelf, and you can see right here and right here. Now, I did have to come in another 1.5 inches further than what I originally planned because the hanging hooks on the back of the smoker were located right in my way. Now, I do want to mention that I bought these budget-friendly generic thermometers on Amazon, and the main reason I bought them was because they have a really big dial that you can clearly see the colors on, and it has a top temperature of 700 degrees. Now, this smoker is rated to go up to 600, and I easily want to be able to get a reading past that because I feel like it has gone above that temperature, but I'm just not sure. Now, I'm going to show you a picture here, and this picture is of a temperature test. I boiled some water and tested these in there to find out if they were at 212 degrees. Well, it turns out that they were a little under that. So they were 10 degrees off. Now, what I would do is, because I don't see how to adjust this one, some of them have movable adjustments. This one appears to be pressed into place. I would just mark right on it plus 10 degrees on both of these thermometers because they're both about the same. I'll do that with a Sharpie at a later time, but I don't want to do it while I'm installing it because I can probably just smudge it. So go ahead and take the nut and the washer off, and see here, let me move this box over. So I'll just go ahead and slide that through. Now I'll go ahead and put a little bit of tightening down with the wrench, but not a lot, just so it's nice and snug, and do the other one, and I'll be right back in a second. Now you can see that they're in there and they're sticking out right there, but they're lower than the lowest adjustment to the top shelf, and they're at a nice level to get a good even read. Now the main thermometer is clear over here, so we should be able to get a really good idea what the temperature is in general in every location. Again, the reason I want them in the back is because you open and close this door all the time, and you want to get a good consistent reading. And this is going to be a really good way to do that, because in the back, it's going to stay warmer and you'll have less effect by outside air in the front. It's not the biggest deal if you want to put it on the front. You do what you want to do. It's your smoker. So whatever makes you happy. The next thing that I'm going to do addresses one of my pet peeves, and that is I want to add handles. Now I went and I found some heavy duty barn door handles. These are nice solid steel here, and I ordered them, opened up the package, made sure it was what I wanted, otherwise I was going to send them back. The only thing I didn't like is I didn't like the included screws, so I got something else here, and I'll show you that in a second. So here I have those screws, and basically what we have is a self-cutting machine screw. Now I bought something a little short, so it's barely gonna grab on there, and it's also gonna have to be increased in the hole size. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna drill these out just a little bit, so that way these won't have to cut into the handles at the same time as they're cutting into the box. I'll be right back after I'm done with that. So if I'm correct, I think these were 14s, and I was able to hit that with a 1/4, and I didn't want to go very long with this. If I'm not happy with the strength of these, I'll just back them out and buy 4 new screws that are the next length. The only reason is because this cutting head is particularly long, and so that would make a little bit of an issue. To measure the first one, I'm going to put it right here. I'm just going to drop it down the same width as the other handle to start with, and then I'll measure the back one to do the exact same. Now I want to move in just a touch, but not too much. I just don't want it to hang over the edge. Go ahead and put that in. And these are 3/8 head. That one's firm. Once you get those in there, if you want to, you could tighten them up a little bit with a regular wrench rather than hitting them with the impact driver. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the back one, and I'll just take a quick measurement off of this, and it's almost exactly 1 inch, and I'll be right back. So now I've completed this, and you can see this on the close-up cam here, and I'm pulling on it a little bit here, and it definitely feels very solid. Now on the back side, I neglected to remember that there is some vents back there, and this is something that I had to account for, so it is just slightly down and over a little bit, and here we are, and now I can grab it and move it around. I don't plan on lifting the smoker by this. That will put a lot of pressure on the connection between the bin and the body. But what I really do plan on doing is using this as a solid steering location. And again, these are solid. There's no reason that there shouldn't have been handles here in the first place. Do remember though that during use that they will build up heat and get hot. So you don't want to be playing with these when the smoker's hot unless you're using oven mitts or something. I'm sure oven mitts will be quite sufficient here because they're not going to be smoking hot like the body of the smoker. Now I've completed all these modifications and had a chance to test them all, and everything worked out great. You do have to be a little careful when you're using the smoker because these handles did get really hot, but nothing that a pair of oven mitts wouldn't handle. And as far as moving the handle here, this worked great. I was able to easily slide the tray of food underneath here, no problem. And the thermometers on the back were wonderful. I could monitor the temperature. And again, they're slightly lower than what they should be, but I think that I will either try another set of thermometers or I'll just allow for their temperature variation. And finally, the smokestack, which I really think helps with all of my offset smokers, and I think it's going to perform exactly the same way in the long term here. I noticed right away that it definitely helped the smoke flow clearly of the smoker, and it didn't heat up my canvas, which is something that I have to worry about that you probably don't. But anyway, all these things worked out fine. Some of the other modifications that I did, like I mentioned earlier in the video, didn't work out. I tried to do something for the charcoal shoot, and I haven't figured that out quite yet. Maybe I need to make something a little more curvy that flows a little bit better. Who knows? But I'll keep trying. I'm not going to give up on that by any means. Now, if there was anything you saw in the video that you like, I have affiliate links below. Those will help support the channel, but they won't cost you anything. Also, the first link below is a link to my website, and that's a complete written review of this smoker. Finally, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.